What is it you want to see? What is it you want to hear? What is it you want to learn?
Yeah, so fair enough. Developers right now are streaming in and mostly saying the same thing. Is this the year we get another big leap forward for generating stuff with AI? Code, text, images, sound, something with AI on device, in the cloud. We don't really mind, but just something forward, basically.
So based on current reporting, I think the answer is no.
Oh, no!
But what we are expecting is that Apple basically opens up access to your community, third-party developers, to its own LLMs, its own proprietary work in AI.
Yeah.
Why would you welcome something like that, if at all?
So Apple normally does a thing internally where they dog food their API, we call it. They work internally, they're trying things out, and then, okay, this is good, we're ready now, out it goes to the developers. And hopefully that's today. And so things like last year we had the writing tools to rewrite or summarize or bullet point or whatever. Really good stuff, but we couldn't do it from our code. We had to let the user do it directly in the UI. So hopefully today we can finally have that and add a whole bunch of layers to our apps. You know, it's a real force multiplier, that kind of functionality.
It is a force multiplier in the sense, if you think about the history of the App Store and what you can do across not just iOS, but macOS, that's how things generally get built.
Yeah.
But it's distinct from whatever Apple will tell us or not tell us with Siri and Apple Intelligence as one uses it with their handset. Why would you want to know about their own work and their own success?
Well, look, last year they announced the big Apple Intelligence push, right?
They did.
That was the first part of the story, because there's two parts to it. We all want the deep conversational Siri thing going on, but for that to work, us app developers have to expose our logic, our data, our functionality to the system. And last year, Apple announced a whole bunch of code just for that. So now we've been working, there's tens of thousands of developers using this stuff now called App Intents. Yeah. They all work, they're great now. Hopefully today, Apple go, right, we've got your data, let's go for it and ship something great, all being well.
How much of a networking effect, literal networking, is WWDC? Like, all of you and your peers are kind of gathered in one place, and you wait to hear what Apple will tell you. But I also find it interesting in like the kind of access part of it to each other, but also to the team at Apple that are working on the code base that you build off.
Yeah. So all the sort of Apple indie developer heroes are here. There's a new game, The Art of Fauna. Love it. He's here. The Halide team are here. The Slopes team are here. They're all here, so you can go and meet your heroes and get your selfies and stuff. A lot of fun. But there's also the labs with Apple's own engineers, where here's a SwiftUI team, here's a data team, here's the Metal team, the whatever.
The labs almost happen in parallel with WWDC. So for the uninitiated, what is it and why is it of value?
Right, so today the special event at Apple Park is the in-person labs.
Right.
Where the teams who make stuff, who are mostly locked away in this building behind us, right, get to come out.
You mean they're not allowed out normally?
Right, I know, right? They're allowed out once a year. It's like, oh, it's developers. And they talk to us and we throw our questions at them and they get answers straight to our face, which is really nice. They enjoy it too. They love it because they can meet us and see how we use their code in weird and wonderful ways. And that's really special. But then the rest of the week, there's also online labs you can book, which are very helpful. It's done via a WebEx call. And this year's new, they have group labs. So you can, as a group, go together, like 20 or 30 folks, and bounce questions off one lucky engineer to get our questions, and learn via other folks' questions too.
Paul, what's your biggest frustration with Apple at the moment?
I have no frustrations with Apple at all. No, just kidding.
There aren't that many of them standing behind the camera. Just be honest. Like, if you are a developer and you are developing for an OS.
Okay. So the biggest thing right now is actually quite interesting. It's about revenue. So we have this thing, the small business program.
Okay.
Where if you earn less than $1 million, which is most developers.
Yes.
Right. You pay only 15% towards Apple. What a brilliant scheme. And that includes, support, APIs, credit card access, all that download stuff, all done, 15%. Good deal. But if you earn $1,001,001, it's not progressive.
So now we're getting into Epic Games territory a little bit.
Well, $1,001,000 isn't quite Epic Games, but when you hit $1,001,001, it's not progressive for that $1. You lose the previous million as well for all future years. So you lose 15% extra every year. So that's not great. I know a lot of folks would like to see that fixed.
A lot of what we expect to come today, and again, this is based on reporting by Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, but it's just interface changes. Within that, you can look for hints about how Apple sees the future, about how we interact with hardware, right? I have an iPhone, I have a Mac. How do you think about that and approach that?
So one of the nice things about Apple's big push towards their SwiftUI framework is, in theory, we just say, give me a button, give me an image, give me a whatever you want, slider, and it adapts to the system correctly. So we'll find out in about an hour or so, but I'm kind of hoping I just press build an Xcode, and it's going to look great and glassy automatically. And if that's true, then iOS, macOS, visionOS, whatever platforms they choose to unify, will just work.
You kind of give the impression, Paul, that it's the people behind the scenes that you're most excited about. But when you think about the keynote, who is it from Apple's kind of more leadership-focused teams that you get excited most about hearing about?
Honestly, if you're in Apple Park for a special event, everyone loves to see Craig.
Okay.
Because he's a massive fan favorite, the Silver Fox, right? Everyone loves Craig. Goes to the selfie with Craig and stuff. And
from a technology perspective?
He's a massive coder.
Okay.
I mean, like Craig, I'm sorry, Craig, he's a super geek. He personally reviews a lot of work going out. He reviews Xcode every year. He's very, very in detail with APIs. You wouldn't believe it, because given how high up he is, but he's very serious about code. I love that. We all love that.